Hello everyone, I'm Inchara and I'll be talking about the Chow-Fasman algorithm. These are the contents. It includes introduction, protein structure, secondary structure prediction, various methods used for predicting the secondary structure of proteins. In that, I'll be talking about Chow-Fasman algorithm in detail, and in the Chow-Fasman algorithm, I'll be talking about propensity value and propensity table, secondary structure makers and breakers, propensity for an alpha helix formation, propensity for a beta sheet formation to predict loops and turns, certain online servers that utilize the Chow-Fasman algorithm as a basic principle to predict the secondary structure of proteins, and then finally I will be concluding my seminar. So, amino acids are compounds containing carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, and they serve as monomers, that is, the building blocks of proteins. As the name implies, these compounds contain both an amino group and a carboxylic acid group. In the alpha amino acid, the amino group and the carboxylate group are attached to the same carbon atom, and this carbon atom is called as the alpha carbon. The various alpha amino acids differ with respect to each other with the side chain, that is the R group, that is attached to the alpha carbon. The R group or the side chain attached to the alpha carbon is different in each amino acid. A peptide is a compound consisting of two or more amino acids. When two amino acids are linked through a peptide bond, then the product is called as a dipeptide. Peptide bonds are amide linkages that are formed between an alpha amino group of one amino acid and the alpha carboxyl group of another. Formation of peptide bonds between any two amino acids is accompanied by the loss of a water molecule. Peptide bond formation is an endergonic process. Formation of a peptide bond. When many amino acid residues are joined, the product is called as a polypeptide. Amino acids which have been incorporated into a peptide or a polypeptide are termed as amino acid residues. By convention, in a polypeptide, the left end is represented by the first amino acid, which is also called as the N-terminal amino acid residue, while the right end is represented by the last amino acid, which is also called as the C-terminal amino acid residue. So first is the primary structure. The amino acid sequence is specified by genetic information. The amino acids are connected by peptide bonds. Each polypeptide has its own unique sequence of amino acids. Secondary structure. Protein secondary structure describes the spatial arrangement of its main chain atoms without regard to the positioning of its side chains. These structures are stabilized by hydrogen bonds between the carbonyl oxygen and the amide hydrogen in the polypeptide's backbone. Secondary structures may have repetitive and regular patterns or irregular and unique structures. The most common regular secondary structures are alpha helix and beta sheet. The secondary structure without a regular pattern is sometimes referred to as a coil or a turn. Alpha helix, it is a rigid rod-like structure that forms when a polypeptide chain twists into a helical conformation. In alpha helix, there are 3.6 amino acid residues per turn of the helix. Beta sheet, they form when two or more polypeptide chain segments line up side by side. Each individual segment is referred to as a beta sheet. Rather than being coiled, each beta strand is fully extended. Tertiary structure. The overall 3D shape of a protein molecule is the tertiary structure. The protein molecule will bend and twist in such a way as to achieve maximum stability or lowest energy state. Although the 3D shape may be irregular and random, It's fashioned by many stabilizing forces such as the hydrophobic interactions, electrostatic interactions, hydrogen bond, van der Waals force of interactions, and covalent bonds. Quaternary structure. Many proteins like hemoglobin are composed of two or more polypeptide chains. These proteins are called multimeric proteins and each polypeptide chain is called as a subunit. These subunits can be identical. They are called as homomultimers or quite different. They are called as heteromultimeric. The quaternary structure refers to how these protein subunits interact with each other and arrange themselves to form a larger aggregate complex of a protein. The final shape of the protein complex is once again stabilized by various interactions. This includes the hydrogen bonding, the disulfide bridges, and salt bridges. Secondary structure prediction. Protein sequences are a determinant of the protein structure, and the protein structure determines the protein function. Protein sequences are linear in nature, that is, it is a simple amino acid sequence. To know the function of a protein, one must know the three-dimensional shape or the tertiary structure of the given protein. So, the need for secondary structure prediction. There are million proteins that are present in the UniProt database. The million proteins that are present in the UniProt database, it includes the sequence information, molecular weight and other properties. However, only a few thousand protein structures are present in the protein database. Hence, it is important to use such prediction methods to predict the structure for protein sequences, whose structures are not available in the protein database and obtain its function. Secondary structure prediction is a method that helps in prediction of the secondary structure of proteins from a given amino acid sequence to obtain its three-dimensional structure from where its function can be obtained. There are several methods that are used for the prediction of secondary structure, such as the Gore method, nearest neighbor method, hidden Markov model, neural network, Chow-Fasman method, and multiple alignment based self-optimization method. I'll be dealing with Chow-Fasman algorithm. Chow-Fasman algorithm for the prediction of secondary structure is one of the most widely used predictive schemes. This is because of its relative simplicity and its reasonably high degree of accuracy. The Chow-Fasman algorithm is an algorithm to predict the secondary structure of protein from its given amino acid sequence. It is a computer program that uses statistical approach to perform arithmetic calculations for predicting the secondary structure. Chow-Fasman was the first algorithm that was devised which predicted the protein structure by looking at the sequence information. Propensity value. Propensity value is of very great importance in the Chow-Fasman algorithm. It's defined as the tendency of an amino acid to behave as an alpha helix, beta sheet, or in a turn in a given amino acid sequence. The R group, which is attached to the side chain of an amino acid, is responsible for the propensity value. Hence, the propensity value is different for different amino acid. The varying R group causes changes in the shape, size, charge of the side chain of the amino acid and the nature of the amino acid, thereby making each amino acid fit better in one type of a secondary structure than the other. For example, proline cannot occur at the C terminal but can occur at the first turn in the N terminal due to its rigidity and side chain angle. P of alpha is defined as the propensity of an amino acid to form an alpha helix, and P of beta is defined as it stands for propensity of an amino acid to form a beta sheet. So here is the formula to calculate the propensity for forming an alpha helix or for forming a beta sheet. and the formula is defined as for the propensity for given amino acid to form an alpha helix is the frequency of the amino acid in the alpha helix divided by the frequency of amino acid residues to be present in an alpha helix. It is the same for beta sheet as well. Next, propensity table. It was built by Chow, and it counts which amino acid occurs in which secondary structure and how many times a particular amino acid occurs in a protein structure. By using the propensity table and the statistical value, one can predict the structure of the protein and later compute the propensity of formation of the secondary structure by utilizing its values. The overall propensity of an amino acid sequence is the product of the propensity of each amino acid that is present. The secondary structures in proteins are formed as a result of hydrogen bonds between various amino acids. If multiple neighbors are involved in the formation of secondary structures, it's important to consider not just the propensity of one amino acid but also of its neighbor. The role of the neighbors in the formation of secondary structure cannot be ignored. A particular amino acid has the propensity to either form an alpha helix, a beta sheet, or a turn, so its neighbor also has certain other properties. For this reason, multiple viable secondary structure conformations need to be set up. One of the amino acid sequence can give rise to multiple secondary structure conformations. Now, among these many conformations, one particular conformation needs to be chosen. In order to do so, we need to compute the overall propensity for each one of the conformations. When the overall propensity of all the combinations for a secondary structure is obtained from a sequence, then a comparison is done, and the one combination with the highest propensity is selected. Secondary structure makers and breakers. These include alpha helix makers, alpha helix breakers, beta sheet makers, and beta sheet breakers. Alpha helix makers. So these are amino acids which are eager to form an alpha helix, and that's why they are called as alpha helix makers. They include glutamine, leucine, methionine, and alanine. Alpha helix breakers. They are certain amino acids which are restricted to be in the alpha helix because they will disrupt the structural integrity of the protein molecule. Example is proline and glycine. The reason is because glycine has no side chain, so it's too flexible and it cannot participate in the formation of hydrogen bonds which is required for an alpha helix to form. Proline has a special side chain where its amide nitrogen only has one hydrogen, and it's a part of the rigid side chain ring, and its rotation about the N terminal attached to the alpha carbon atom, that bonding is not possible. Next we have the beta sheet makers. These are the amino acids which are eager to form beta sheet, and they are called as beta sheet makers, and it includes isoleucine, valine, and tyrosine. Beta sheet breakers are certain amino acids which are restricted to be in a beta sheet because they will disrupt the structural integrity of the protein molecule. This again includes proline, asparagine, and glutamine. Propensity for an alpha helix formation. So there are steps that are involved for determining whether a given region in an amino acid sequence is an alpha helix, and there are various steps involved. So that includes, first take the amino acid sequence for which the structure is unknown. Later, in a random manner, select 6 contiguous amino acids. Here, contiguous amino acids refer to neighboring and continuous amino acids that are present in a given amino acid sequence. Now from the selected 6 contiguous amino acids, check for the presence of secondary structure makers and breakers. Now in the selected region, if more than 1/3 of the amino acids are alpha helix breakers, then helix formation is not possible. If less than half of the amino acids are helix makers, then alpha helix formation is not possible. If both the condition is false, then the helix formation is possible. If the propensity for an alpha helix formation in a selected region is greater than 1.03, then that region is declared as an alpha helix and it is marked as the beginning of the alpha helix. For one turn in an alpha helix, 4 amino acids are required. The alpha helix can be expanded upstream and downstream, and this is done by extending the selected region on either side until 4 out of the 6 amino acids have the propensity of less than 1.0. Then it is declared as the end of the alpha helix. In the region of the sequence that is declared as an alpha helix, it must contain more number of alpha helix makers than the alpha helix breakers. The overall propensity of forming an alpha helix should be greater than the propensity of a beta sheet in the given region that was selected to confirm whether it's an alpha helix, and if this is true, then the region is declared as an alpha helix. At the N terminal, negatively charged amino acids are present, and at the C terminal, positively charged amino acids are present. Propensity for a beta sheet formation. Again, similar steps are involved to check whether a given region in an amino acid sequence is a beta sheet. So here, take the amino acid sequence for which the structure is unknown. Later, in a random manner, select 5 contiguous amino acids from the given sequence. Check for the presence of beta sheet maker and beta sheet breakers in the given selected 5 amino acids. In the selected region, if more than 1/3 of the amino acids are beta sheet breakers, then there is no sheet formation. Similarly, if less than half of the amino acids are beta sheet makers, then there is no beta sheet formation. If both the conditions are false, then beta sheet formation is possible. If the propensity for forming a beta sheet is greater than 1.05, then that region is declared as a beta sheet and it is marked as the beginning of the beta sheet. The beta sheet can be expanded upstream and downstream just like the alpha helix until 3 out of the 5 amino acids have the propensity for forming a beta sheet less than 1. If this condition occurs, then that region is declared as the end of the beta sheet. In the region of the amino acid sequence that is declared as a beta sheet, it must contain more beta sheet makers than beta sheet breakers. There are certain regions in the sequence where there is the overlapping of alpha helices and beta sheets. So for those reasons, we again compare the overall propensity. So here, if the propensity for forming a beta sheet is greater than the propensity of a given region in an amino acid sequence to form an alpha helix, that region is declared and finalized as a beta sheet. The reverse is also possible, but in this case, the propensity for forming a beta sheet is greater than propensity for forming an alpha helix. At the N terminal, positively charged amino acids are present, and in the C terminal, negatively charged amino acids are present. There are certain values for which we should be familiar about. Here, as I told earlier, this is the complete propensity table developed by that is used to predict the secondary structure by Chow-Fasman algorithm. So here, P of A stands for the propensity of a given particular amino acid to form an alpha helix. P of B stands for the propensity of an amino acid to form a beta sheet. P of I is the propensity of an amino acid to form a turn. F of I denotes the propensity of an amino acid to be present in the first position after the turn. F of I plus 1 is the propensity of an amino acid to be present in the second position after the turn. F of I plus 1 is the propensity of an amino acid to be present in the third position after the turn, and F of I plus 3 denotes the propensity of an amino acid to be present in the fourth position after the turn. Now, there are certain online servers that utilize the Chow-Fasman method to predict the secondary structure. These are called as Chow and Fasman secondary structure prediction servers. So, this server actually predicts the regions of the secondary structure of the protein from the protein sequence, like the alpha helix, beta sheet, loops and turns as well. So I'll be like in the next slide, there's an example that is shown. So so this is one of the online servers, and when you enter the protein sequence, here I've taken the protein sequence of insulin, and later when you enter predict, we get the secondary structure for the given amino acid sequence, where it literally tells where there is an alpha helix, which particular region is declared as a beta sheet, a turn, and it is very easy to identify the tertiary structure and obtain the functionality of a given amino acid by knowing its secondary structure. So I'd like to conclude by saying that Chow-Fasman was the seminal and the first algorithm to predict the secondary structure from the primary structure, and this algorithm is based on the statistical occurrence of amino acids within the large UniProt database sequencing. These are my references. Thank you.